All right. I see it is 7 o'clock. We have a pretty good crowd here this evening for our February council coordinated meeting. We've got a lot of meetings to discuss and go through, but we've got our first 30 minutes dedicated to other business, council business, and the like. Tonight, I've invited Michael Johnson, the general manager from Florida Sea Base, to bring some warm weather to us and to talk to us a little bit about all the fun stuff that they've got available for us to consider as scouts and scouters down at the Florida Sea Base. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike for about a 5-10 minute presentation so he can tell us a little bit about what the Sea Base has to offer, and then we'll break out into our other business and then into our breakout room. So Mike, take it away.
Great. Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate the invite. I appreciate what you as volunteers are doing. I was a scout exec for about 12 years, 2 councils, so I can only imagine the challenges right now of delivering scouting during COVID. It's got to be hard on a unit, a district, and a local council level. So thank you for what you're doing. Without your efforts, scouting wouldn't happen, or would not happen to the degree it is. And as a high adventure base, we're here to support you. And we look forward to seeing some crews from your council, Seneca Waterways, down here this spring and summer. So the Sea Base is operated year round. The only month that we don't operate is September. You all can probably guess why. That's the height of the hurricane season. In a non-COVID year and in 2021, we will serve about 15,000 participants from all across the country. We have 3 facilities, 3 properties that the Sea Base owns. The Sea Base in Islamorada, where I am, kind of the administrative area. We do our sailing and our scuba program, Britain Environmental Center in the Lower Keys. And then we own a 100-acre island, Big Munson Island, where scouts camp on. We also run programs in St. Thomas and St. Croix. And we lease property out there from different councils, and or run a sailing program in St. Thomas. It's essentially the crews arrive, they get on the boat, they depart the dock, they come back, and then they fly back home. We also operate in the Bahamas, although this summer that program is suspended due to ongoing challenges after Hurricane Dorian. The Abacos just not bounced back like we'd hoped they would. And also the dry Tortugas west of Key West. So we operate 19 programs altogether. And I like to say that the Sea Base business model is don't buy it or build it. If you can beg it, borrow it, or lease it. And I started my career at the Sea Base, career with the Boy Scouts, out of college in 1988. Summer job turned into a full-time job, was the program director for a few years. Then went around the country as a professional and was a scout exec in a couple of councils. About 4.5 years ago, the general manager job opened up. And I thought, that sounds like a pretty cool gig. So was able to do that. We've grown the Sea Base significantly in the last 4 years, from about 12,000 participants to 15,000, essentially through expanding all those programs. One of the programs that we're really excited about is our coral restoration program. So the Florida Reef is the 3rd largest in the world, and it is quite frankly dying. Now we have a new website here, so we're going to see how much of this works tonight. It's kind of spinning. We also have really bad internet connection down in the Florida Keys tonight. So I'm just going to walk you through the coral restoration program. The coral reef in the Keys is dying for all sorts of different reasons. Temperature changes, changes in acidity in the water, people loving the reef to death, as we like to say. And a few years ago, a coral scientist found out by accident that if you fragment a piece of coral, it grows 40 times faster than in the wild. Prior to that, the challenge with rebuilding the coral reefs was coral grows so slowly, about 4 millimeters a year. He inadvertently, in one of his laboratories, broke off a piece of coral, thought it was dead, came back, left it in the aquarium, came back about a month later, and it had grown exponentially. And that was Dr. David Vaughn. He likens it to your skin. Your skin does not grow on a daily basis. Otherwise, we'd all drag around 100 yards of skin. But you cut it, and it grows together pretty quickly. So if you fragment coral, put it in these raceways, which right here on the website is one of the raceways. It's basically a big aquarium. It grows from the size of your pinky fingernail to a quarter in approximately 3 to 6 months. You take it out on the reef, you find an old dead boulder coral, which is an exoskeleton. You take an underwater drill some holes in there about 6 to 8 inches apart, plant those coral plugs on there, and in 2 or 3 years, what would take 200 or 300 years in the wild, that coral grows together. And that is the simple version, the non-scientific version. There's a whole lot of components that go into it, different types of coral, genotypes, species, etc. But it's pretty cool that in our marine STEM program, scouts participate in this. They will fragment the coral, they will grow the coral, and they will participate in planting the coral out on the reef. So we're proud of that. Up here under our website, you can go to the Scouts page and go to Adventures. And these are our 19 adventures. So if you're scuba, interested in scuba, if you are already scuba certified, you can come down and dive for a week. If you're not certified, certify you. You can live aboard a sailboat and dive all week. If you like to sail, I suppose we've got some sailors up your way. You can go out on a 40 to 45 foot sailboat in our Coral Reef program. STEM Eco is an ecology program off of sailboats. Sea Exploring are 70 to 80 foot sailboats that run out of Key West all the way to the Marquesas, which is about 40 miles west of Key West, uninhabited. Amazing diving, snorkeling, fishing. The Britain Environmental Center, which we talked about, is our second facility. There's a Keys Adventure program, which is a little bit of everything. Our Marine STEM program that includes that coral restoration program. The Out Island program, super rough and rugged. If you've ever seen the movie PT 109, a couple of years ago, and black and white, I believe, Big Munson Island is featured in the opening and different shots there in that movie. So Big Munson Island, scouts kayak or canoe out to there and more canoes and spend 5 days, 4 nights out on the island, no running water, no electricity, rough and rugged, but an amazing experience. If you like to fish, I don't know if any of you like to fish, you can raise your hands if you love fishing. We do an entire week of fishing, both offshore in a 33-foot power boat, as well as backcountry, inshore. That's all you do all week is fish. We have a Key West sailing program where you can sail from the Middle Keys down to Key West. Pretty neat experience. Typically, we'd be operating in the Bahamas, but not this summer. We have a tall ship and a sailing program over there. We've shifted those programs to St. Thomas and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So you can sail in St. Thomas, as well as St. John, circumnavigate those islands. Absolutely incredible sailing and snorkeling, gorgeous. We operate in St. Croix with the Scuba Adventure program. If you're scuba certified, St. Croix has incredible diving. It's a little deeper, different types of reefs, but an amazing experience, as well as a St. Croix Adventure, which is a little bit of a smorgasbord of everything. If you are a youth member in the Order of the Arrow offers service programs at all the high adventure bases. So ours is called the OAOA, Order of the Arrow Ocean Adventure. And this picture right here is of Fort Jefferson. It is in the Dry Tortugas, which is 60 miles west of Key West, accessible only by boat or float plane. It is the largest masonry fort in the Western Hemisphere, built in the early 1800s. Its claim to fame is that is where Dr. Samuel Mudd was incarcerated after being arrested for setting John Wilkes Booth's leg. Of course, the man who assassinated President Lincoln. And so you can go out to Fort Jefferson in the Dry Tortugas, incredible history, incredible snorkeling. Order of the Arrow members support the National Park Service, which owns and operates Fort Jefferson, with service projects. And while they work hard and they get really sweaty, they also have an incredible experience out there. The stars, the snorkeling, the reefs, the fishing, and the opportunity to provide service to our national parks in one of the most remote and beautiful locations is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So that's the Sea Base. We serve about 15,000 young people. Our budget is $15 million. We have a year-round staff of about 23. A summer staff we ramp up for about 240 seasonal summer staff and about 80 to 100 spring and holiday staff members. So if you know of any young men or women that would like to come down and be on staff, we also utilize a lot of volunteers that will come down and help us out with different projects. So if any of you would like to get out of the snow and cold, we have some painting projects and some things like that. I won't even tell you what our weather was today. It's just not fair. So at this point, I'll open it up for any questions that you may have about the Sea Base, our programs, our operations.
Mike, any adult leader training programs that are being offered at the Sea Base this spring and summer that our leadership of the council should know about?
We do. I don't have them offhand. I need to go back and take a look at our calendar. We have a number of adult leader training programs that happen down here. Some of them have been canceled due to just challenges of travel. One that springs to mind that we had that was going to be starting this week is the Catholic Committee on Scouting. They typically come down to here. We oftentimes host a number of commissioner conferences and some district operation conferences for volunteers, as well as professional conferences. So we don't necessarily promote those on our website. I can get back with you, Aaron, on some links to national with regards to courses and conferences we're hosting. We, of course, have been impacted by COVID like everybody else. So we had a number of conferences that were scheduled for the springtime, but as people had some concerns and challenges with travel, some of those have been canceled. But hopefully a year from now, when we get through this, we will be promoting a number of volunteer courses that you can come down to. Let me scroll down. We have some professional courses listed here, but we don't have our volunteer courses.
I think we have a shy group tonight, Mike.
It must be the cold, Aaron. I can understand. So
well,
close everything down.
Yeah, we'll ask Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Oh. Yes.
Yeah, this is Andy Gates. I've been down. I was down in the 80s, and my family has vacationed in Islamorada at mile marker 82.1 since the 70s. So I've been down a number of times. And I know that our troop here in Fairport is planning a trip. They were planning a trip last year, and they're planning to come down to visit you next year. And they are on the call just to see what offerings you have. So you do have some interested parties.
Excellent. So yeah, if somebody is interested, you can go to our homepage here, and there's the, if we go back to the home part of this, there's a link, or right here it is, to register for 2021 and 2022 Sea Base Adventures. This year, 2021, will be the biggest year in the history of Sea Base, and we have pretty good signups for next year. So if someone is interested, I encourage them to do that. Also, there's a thing up here called Scout Connections. If an individual scout wants to come to the Sea Base, but their troop or crew cannot, isn't going, they can go on to that link and find units that are coming to the Sea Base that have openings and connect with them and then come on down. So obviously, operation in the days of COVID is a challenge. We operated in 2020. We were the first high adventure base to open. We ran the longest, and then we ran in the fall, holidays and holiday season, and we just started our spring season about 3 days ago. We're off and running all the way through the end of September. We have had no COVID cases on staff or with participants. We have a very robust COVID mitigation plan that's on our homepage as well. You can take a look at that if somebody is interested in coming, but they say, well, I'm concerned about safety. They can look through that. And so for your crew, Andy, that's looking to come in 2022, my guess is there's still going to be some components of that mitigation plan that will be in place. Those crews that come this year, there's a preparation, there's a checklist. You know, we begin preparing them a couple of weeks before they arrive here. There's a check sheet, there's a temperature check upon arrival. Every day they get their temperature checked, as do our staff, and masks and buffs and hand sanitizer and social distancing. So we're pretty proud that we were able to operate last year, and granted it was at a reduced capacity, but nonetheless we operated safely.
Hey, Mike, this is Ira Goldman. I was down there about 9 years ago with a group, and one of the leaders had been there before. So we were pretty capable of arranging our own transportation from Miami out. But has there been any new advice or programs that would help people get from the airport out to Islamorada or further out?
Yeah, the challenge, Ira, is that with the spring, with 2020, a number of the shuttle companies, because there was just a lack of people coming to the Keys, went out of business. So there's fewer shuttle companies than there were when you came down 9 or 10 years ago. We have very good relationships with the two remaining ones, or the two primary ones. We also do encourage units to, especially if they're coming later in the summer, when we get into the hurricane season, we encourage them to rent a vehicle, and they can rent it one way. We will they can rent it, come to the sea base, and then they can drop it off at the airport in Marathon or the airport in Key West. We will pick them up, get them back, and then get them back down to the airport to pick that up. But unfortunately, especially with just the economic impact of the shutdown of the Keys in 2020, a number of those shuttle companies and shuttle services went out of business. So there's just fewer than there were even when you came down.
Yeah, when we came, we actually flew into Fort Lauderdale, stayed overnight, rented a vehicle, came out Saturday, drove back. It worked out fine. Yeah. But we had a group of 11 or 12 and 4 leaders, so we could make it work.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Great. Well, we'll ask Mike to hang out for the rest of our meeting, and then after we do our breakouts, if you've got additional questions for him and how your troop or your crew could get down to the sea base, he'll have a few minutes to answer some questions, but we need to move on with our schedule. So thank you very much, Mike, for coming out. We do appreciate it, and we'll ask you to stick around for a little while. And let's see, I will just ask to see if I can do this right with the, all right, I'll unpin Mike here so we can go back to the main group. There we go. All right, well, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. If you joined us a little late, we're going to kick off our meeting. We'll start as always with program and Cindy Perano, where she can talk a little bit about our program activities and updates across the council.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me. So just a few updates. In terms of program, we do have the continuing online merit badge classes going on. We also have just this past week started back up with the virtual the Cub classes for those activities. The Cubs in Camp, the fishing derby, will happen on the weekend of May 15th. We're also planning a Pinewood Derby at Camp Cutler at the end of June, June 26th. Okay, so those are some, and okay, so, oops, sorry, I lost my, sorry about that, I lost myself. Okay, so in terms of advancement, just a couple things to note. The Diversity and Inclusion Merit Badge has been pushed back a little bit. We expect that to be coming out in May. The Advancement Committee is going to be looking for counselors for that new merit badge. Scout Book, you may know, is going to become the primary advancement reporting tool. So where we have non-unit merit badge counselors, they'll be using Scout Book to do merit badge counseling. And the blue cards will be going, you know, the way of the dodo, I guess. The Advancement Committee is looking to offer some additional virtual training for those folks in terms of how to use the Scout Book. Also from Advancement, just note that for Scouts who whose Eagle projects are being impacted by COVID, the COVID exception is no longer in place, but they can still request an extension under Section 9 as they would have in the past. Okay, so let me go on to Training Committee. Has a few items coming up. There is an IOLS scheduled for April 16th and 17th. That will be done with a reduced class size, and it's one class on Saturday and one class on Sunday. Mark Juba is going to be heading that up, so if you have questions, you can contact him. I believe that Dave Finger was running a Victory 21 program, which is the virtual youth leadership training program. So hopefully that went well and was very successful.
It's in progress right now.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you. Excuse me, I had one more. I think that's what I had. So that's it for program at the moment. Any questions?
All right, hearing none, we'll jump over to camping and to myself. And of course, as you know, if you made it to our council kickoff meeting that just happened a few Saturdays ago, we are planning on operating all three of our summer camps, Massweepy Scout Camps, Babcock Hovey, and Camp Cutler, Cub Scout Adventure Camp. Our plan is to operate, ideally, you know, as long as the governor and the Department of Health in the state of New York give us the go-ahead. Our plan is to run our regular resident camp program following any additional COVID restrictions and or requirements we have to have in place to make sure that our scouts can be safe. One of the things we are planning on, though, is that the scouts are going to need money to be able to come to camp. And with that, I'm just going to see if I can find my share screen here. Want to let everybody know, if you haven't heard it already at the roundtables, we are planning a special fundraising opportunity for our scouts, a chance to hike to camp or hike for scouting April 17th through June 19th. They'll be able to use a platform that we've been able to put together where they can actually set up their own little fundraising hike, you know, sponsorship opportunity to say, we're going to hike so many miles. The scout determines how many miles they want to hike, how much money they want to raise through their hiking efforts. And through this website, individuals can sponsor a scout by the mile or with a flat gift of, you know, $10, $20, $30, $45, whatever the amount they feel compelled to give. But it gives the scouts a chance to get outside, do some hiking, or hike in their house, hike outdoors, whatever they can do. We're encouraging scouts to look at this as a great way to raise revenue to help pay for summer camp while they cannot necessarily sell products. Initially, the fundraising committee looked at product sales and thought, you know, it's going to be a little difficult right now during the current environment and as we progress into the spring, but this opportunity to hit the trails, do some scout hiking, and it allows packs and troops to plan some big activities. And then at the end of it all, we'll have a special hike opportunity down at Camp Cutler on June 19th, where we've got the 5-mile hike around camp that scouts can come down and do a hike. And if they need to do 10 miles, they can just do it twice. But we'll have an opportunity for them to do the full hike there and just enjoy that opportunity, plus get outdoors. So it's fairly simple. They go to the SenecaWaterwaysCouncil.org/hike, and a troop, a pack, a crew can set up their own team, and then individual scouts can then join that team when they sign up to be able to be a part of it and raise funds. And they can put a little personal information on the website and then just go from there and make it pretty easy to share. Let me see if I can get my mouse to work for me here. It makes it fairly easy for the scouts to raise funds and ask people to consider making contributions. It shares through Facebook, it shares through Twitter, or you can send it as an email blast out to individuals saying, you know, hey, I'm planning on going to summer camp this summer and I need some additional support. Please consider sponsoring my hike. You know, they can set the sights on 238 miles to get to Massweepie from Rochester, or 46 miles to get to Camp Cutler from Rochester, or whatever distance they feel they want to try and make. But we are planning on trying to get as many scouts to camp this summer and helping them have an opportunity to raise the funds to get there. So if you have questions about that program, feel free to email myself. Our director of fundraising, Tony Vogel, is going to help out with that a lot as well. He's spearheading the website part of things. So we'd be happy to help out with that. The split for units, every dollar raised, the scout gets 50 cents to go towards their scouting programs. The other 50 cents helps us pay for the platform, the council operations, and the activities that we're doing along with it. We're going to have some mile marker patches and prizes if they set their goals or their sights on a certain distance. They'll get additional little goodies along the way just for being a part of the hike. And of course, they'll get those at the 19th hike-a-thon culmination event down at Camp Cutler. With that, I am going to turn it over to go back to my gallery view so I can find him, to Frank Capozzi to talk a little bit about the field activities. So he waved his hand. I can pin him easily.
I'm here. Good evening, everybody. Just want to share with everybody some great things going on as I did last month around the council, specifically highlighting some really cool things going on with many of our units. I'll go through this as quick as we can. I'll start kind of reverse order from normal. Exploring, lots of great things going on in the Exploring Division right now. Penfield Volunteer Ambulance Corps, that post has grown to over 30 members, and they just about 2 weeks ago had installed their officer class for the year. And on the same evening where they installed their 6 members of their officer class, they also hosted Troop 2020 for an evening of activities. To see the Penfield Ambulance Corps and learn a little bit more about what the Explorer Post does as well. Genesee Crossroads District, our traditional program in the city, is welcoming its new district executive until our realignment. Jesse Knopf is on our call tonight. Jesse has been jumping right into the thick of things, and in his first less than a week on the job, Jesse already had gone out and made his first unit visit and went sledding with Pack 68. At Maplewood Park. So really excited to have Jesse on the team and see the great things going on in Genesee Crossroads. Pack 362, Fairport, Topet District. They're gonna have a really cool virtual program coming up. It's all over the council Facebook page, on the Towpath Facebook page as well. But they're actually gonna have a NASA astronaut joining them, who's been up on the space station to talk to all the Cub Scouts. It'd be kind of a cool event for them. This past weekend was Scout Sunday in Troop 122 in Mohawk District in Newark, New York. Celebrated Scout Sunday with a really special recognition presenting Jim Wilk with his 50-year Veteran Award, which he had earned last year. He wasn't able to get it in person last year, but the troop hung on to it and presented it to him Scout Sunday. One of my favorite programs that goes on in the council is right around the corner in Lighthouse District. Chuck Pettibone and his team are once again putting together Park Cleanup, which is an incredible district-wide service project where dozens and dozens of parks throughout that district get cleaned all on one day or over the course of about a week or two for some units to spread it out. So really excited to see park cleanup getting planned and underway again for 2021. Black Creek District, PAC 156. I thought this was really cool. They have come up with an alternative way to celebrate blue and gold this year. They have rented a movie theater, and they're going to invite all the Cub Scouts and their families to come and spend some time together by then at a movie theater checking out a film. Baywaters District, Troop 1920, had 3 new girls join the troop recently, which was really cool recruitment. And along with that, they hosted the first group of girl crossovers in Baywaters. So really excited to see that going on. Seneca District, the Scout Executive Stephen Hoyt was actually there last week with several other members of the district team to present a Medal of Merit for life saving to Andrew Weaver. It was all over the news last week, but something that we're really proud of and very excited to share that story. And I believe another meritorious action or Medal of Merit's coming, we'll be finding out about pretty soon as well. And then I will leave you with this. This is one of my favorite stories as of late. I've not shared it with this group yet. But our after-school program in Turning Point District, they've had some struggles, of course, without having in-person school this year, getting things going. But that group has had a really cool program running at the YMCA Metro Center. 47 Cub Scouts participating in that program, 28 of which have earned their Bobcat, which was really cool and is probably the largest grouping single presentation of Bobcats that Turning Point has done in a long, long time. So really great work there. Lots of great things going on in all of our districts and in all of our units. Despite our challenges, scouting is still alive and well. And I will kick it back to Aaron.
All right, thank you, Frank. I'm going to go back to my gallery view for a second here so I can find him again. Hopefully it's a little quicker this time. There he is. I'm going to turn things over now to our Scout Executive, Stephen Hoyt, so he can share some great news that we have going on within the council.
Cool. Hey, thank you. Hey, and thank you, Frank, for the plug. You know, last week, that presentation of Medal of Merit to Andrew Weaver was a really cool experience. We actually did it twice, 2 different formats because of room sizes, but it's just a great reminder to all of us of the impact we have on kids, and they leave our organization or go on to do other things, and they take those scouting values and skills with them. So it was a really great reminder, as well as a great opportunity to recognize a young man for what he really did to save an adult's life. That was pretty cool. Hey, with that, a couple business items I talk about. I think I mentioned last month, Silver Beaver recognition is coming up. Deadline for that is March 15th. The committee has already formed. They're looking for nominations. We have more than enough already to fill this year's quota, which unfortunately is down because our unit count is down. But with that, if you have volunteers that want to get nominated for that, or you think there's ones that should be nominated for that, I would encourage you to make sure you get an application in. Frequently, we come across people who we think are great candidates, but if they don't get nominated, then it's never going to get presented to them. So hopefully you'll take the time to talk that out. If you've got somebody who is active on the council level on different committees, probably the first place to go is the staff advisor they work with the most. And they can kind of give you an idea if if somebody else is working on an application or not for them. But if you got somebody in mind, I would encourage you to take advantage of that. Silver Beaver kind of builds up to our annual meeting, which is on Monday, May 3rd. There are a whole host of other awards that we'll do that evening as well. That will be a completely virtual event, kind of like we did last year, except this year on schedule. With that, we did encourage you all to participate. Again, it's a Monday event, Monday, May 3rd, 5:30. There's a link that you'll get. Register through the link, and then you're able to participate. You'll decide right up front and dictate if you're a charter rep, voting member or not. And then they'll kind of make sure you're put in the right box for voting procedures for that evening. The last thing I'll just share is, and I've talked before, district realignments are coming. Those will also be effective on May 3rd with the annual meeting. Nominating committees for all of the districts are coming together as we speak. We actually had a meeting on that this morning. With that, so all the districts as well as the council level are all in the process of forming. I would expect to see most of those committees probably done by mid-March, end of March the latest, and you'll start to see chairs starting to pop up for all the different subcommittees, advancement, training, activities, et cetera, starting to put to place the functional responsibilities for those new districts. Officially, the last meeting of the old districts will be the roundtables in May, and the first meetings of the new districts will actually come with the June, we'll call it awards picnic or whatever the district decides to do. With that, I think that's all I got. Thank you, Aaron.
Great. Well, thank you all for joining us again. I believe we've got Mike here for a few minutes. You know, he'll be here to answer questions as we break into the breakouts. If you've got questions, stay in the main room before you go to your breakout room. Right now, the breakout rooms are open for individuals to join. We've got breakout rooms for all the different committees that are on or to be meeting tonight. We've got a membership room. I know that it sounded like there wasn't going to be a critical mass for that group to meet. There's training, historical activities, religious emblems, camping, gaps, and let's see, I think I got them all there. Venturing. If you have trouble getting into your meeting room, just raise a hand. Let me know. I can move you into that right room here, or I'll try to. I see. Looks like most people are getting into where they need to go. But if you do have trouble, I'll help you move into that meeting room. But if you have questions for Mike, feel free to ask those questions now while he's still here with us for a little bit before you go into your breakout room.